Hello, everyone. If you are watching this training video, then that means you are a local nonprofit interested in seeking funding from the United Way of the Lowcountry in either basic needs or economic mobility. So my name is Christy Turner. I am Vice President of Community Impact here at the United Way of the Lowcountry. I just celebrated my 18th anniversary here, and I want to welcome you to this training seminar, and we will get that underway in just a moment. I always say that I have the absolute best job here at United Way. I get to interact with your volunteers, both your board of directors and the volunteers that make your programs hum. I also get to work side by side with our current partner agencies, get to work in the community and see all the great stuff that you guys are able to do to make our community succeed and thrive. And I also still get to work on our two-county helpline, helping our community get through these tough times, especially through this pandemic. So, and to help me do all this great stuff is my Wonder Twin power, Amber Hewitt. So with that, I'd like to introduce Amber. Amber, would you like to say a couple of words?
Sure. Hello, everybody. For everyone that knows me, hi again. And for those that don't, I look forward to meeting you. Before coming to United Way almost 3 years ago, I worked at Salvation Army, where I was on your side of the house. I did the application process and the grant for Salvation Army, including the one for United Way. So I am glad to say that I will be doing the training on the software and the application process. So I'll be seeing you in just a little bit.
That's right. And I am so glad that I get to hand over that software portion to Amber, and so glad that we have her on this side too, because she just adds a whole different lens for that application. So we're really glad to have her here at the United Way. So before we get into the training, if you haven't already, I would like to take you to our website. I'm going to share my screen. On our website, the second tab over is Apply for Funding. So if you will go ahead and click on that, this is the page where you have found this video. So if you haven't already, if you will go ahead and click on the timeline and print that out. Go ahead and print out the pre-qualification checklist if you haven't done that already. If you are applying underneath of the basic needs, go ahead and print out the basic needs metrics document. If you're applying under the economic mobility priority area, if you'll print that out. And if you are going to be applying underneath of both of those, go ahead and print out both of those. Right underneath of the training video, there are a couple of other documents. You have the Community Force Walkthrough Guide, and that is going to be instrumental in Amber's portion of the training. And then we have that sample grantee memorandum of agreement. Go ahead and print that out. Here is the link to access the online software. Right here is the link to sign up for the live work sessions that we're going to be discussing throughout this training today. So that is where you're going to find all of those great documents. So once again, if you haven't already done that, go ahead and put us on pause, print those out, and pick us back up in a minute. This is the 2022 Community Impact Process. We call it that because those approved for funding will start receiving that funding in April of 2022. I get a whole lot of questions. Well, why April? Well, April is United Way's beginning of our fiscal year. And some of my returning agencies might have caught the name change of economic mobility. In fact, I have already received a few phone calls on it, and I told everyone that I would explain it at the training. So we did recently have a priority name change from Income Family Stability to Economic Mobility. There were several reasons, one of which is that it would align with United Way worldwide, but we are okay with walking our own path. Most other United Ways actually no longer fund basic needs programs. But we feel strongly that the most basic of needs need to be met before one can start concentrating on changing the situations and conditions that are found in our other priority areas. So largely, the name change came about because we felt that economic mobility has a positive and upward association, whereas stability has a more stationary or frozen association. When we thought about what the true intent of the priority area was, while it was true that stabilizing was a part of it, it was only the beginning of the journey. If you look at the intent of the programs that could apply, they are really about providing the tools needed for that upward mobility. So that's the reason for the name change. So at this point, this is where I would normally go around the room and ask each one of you to introduce yourselves so I can learn a little more about you. So I'm truly bummed that this is a pre-recorded training format. However, I am hopeful that if you are a new agency, that I will get to meet you at one of the live work sessions. And if you are one of my returning agencies, that I will get an opportunity to say hi, or that you will pop in, or that I'll see you at one of the live work sessions as well. I really would love to see you guys. I miss you guys, and I can't wait for things to get back to normal. We will talk more in depth about those work sessions at the end of this training, so stay tuned for that. Those work sessions are not required. Just want to make that clear. But if you are new to our process, they are strongly encouraged. Full disclosure, I know I break the cardinal rule of PowerPoint by putting a lot of text on these slides. However, I do that on purpose. If you are a new agency to United Way, you should be able to take this presentation back to your board and have them understand our granting process and understand a little bit more about United Way as a whole. So if you would like a copy of these slides, just email either Amber or myself and we'll get you a copy. And our information is found right here on this slide. This training is mandatory for everyone to attend or to view rather. We wanted to have the flexibility to watch this video whenever you, your board chair, or your staff had the opportunity, because we know that this has been just a crazy mixed up kind of year. So we are trying it in this new format, and we will be asking you guys for some feedback as to what your thoughts are. And because it is mandatory, there are going to be 3 different times throughout the training that you are going to see this exact slide. Well, maybe not this exact slide. You're going to see this slide, and there are going to be 3 different 3-digit numbers that are going to be on this slide. So when you see this slide, we want you to write down these numbers, because you will be required to enter these numbers into the pre-qualification application to document the fact that you have indeed watched the video. The software will not allow you to hit your final review and submit button if these numbers are not entered and are not entered correctly. So this is going to be towards the end of the pre-qualification information section. So make sure that you have a pen and a piece of paper next to you while you're watching the video so that you can write down these numbers when you see them. Okay, so here is our agenda for the afternoon, or for this video rather. I am going to provide an overview of the process, and I will briefly go over the GMOA, but only briefly, since we do provide a sample copy for you to take back to your board and to the staff. I will then go over the timeline, and we will discuss all of the documents and the requirements that are found on the pre-qualification checklist. I will then wrap up my section with a brief discussion on the common metrics provided on the website. And then if you have any specific questions in reference to the metrics, we strongly encourage you to participate in that scheduled work session so that you can get all of your questions answered. Then I am going to pass the baton over to Amber, and she is going to bring it home with her use of the Community Force Walkthrough Guide to show you everything that you need to know to log in if you're an existing user, or to create a new account if a new agency to United Way, and how to submit the pre-qualification phase of the application. Let's go ahead and dive right into the overview of our United Way's community impact process. So our process ensures people get the support services they need right now, while simultaneously addressing the root causes of key issues. And that's how we create true community impact. We provide program level funding, which allows agencies to submit multiple programs for funding in any of our 4 priority areas. And we use a staggered funding schedule which means we release 2 priority areas per year. This year's laser focus is on basic needs and economic mobility. And then next year, we will rotate back into education and health programs. We provide operational funding, which provides the flexibility the organization needs to determine where those resources are needed the most. Meaning that when you apply to United Way, you don't need to tell us that you're going to be using our funding to purchase books or to hire a part-time position. As long as the money stays within the program you're seeking support for, we feel that it is up to you to determine where those funds are needed the most. Now, there are a few caveats, which you will find in the GMOA, which are that United Way funding cannot be used for capital campaigns or bricks or mortar, and we do not fund accounts such as reserve accounts because we feel that we want the money out in the community doing the hard work. We use a 2-year grant cycle. So your grant is for 2 years, and we feel that that permits the time needed to see results of program impact. We let you know upfront that we implement a step-down funding strategy, and this strategy ensures that a sustainability plan is being created and the program remains diversified in its funding streams. So you know that the grant amount that you receive in year 1, that in the second year, you're going to automatically have a 15% step down in year 2 of your grant award. Allocations are provided monthly. This allows the agency to be infused with grant funds at regular intervals and prevents our grant from creating timing issues in your financials or making you look cash heavy on other grants that you might be applying for. There is an emphasis that is placed on those programs that address the root causes of our community's most pressing issues. And collaborations are encouraged to apply. We know that when you are trying to address those root causes of our community's most pressing issues, that in most cases, it might take several organizations coming to the table, working together to really be able to start addressing those root causes. And our electronic application submission. So everything that you guys will be providing is going to be provided electronically. No more, some of my returning agencies remember those days of having to physically bring to the United Way that one original and 10 copies so that I could distribute them to the reviewers. No more of that with the electronic submission. There are also no set grant award amounts. We ask the applicants to apply for the amount they need from United Way in combination with their other funding streams to reach the impact they are proposing in the application. And I say that in combination with their other funding streams because United Way, in most cases, I cannot remember a situation where we have funded 100% of a program. We expect that the program that is coming to us for funding has other organizations or other supporters that are going to help the program come to fruition. And it is a competitive grant process. All applications are reviewed and scored, but only the top 12 program submissions in basic needs and the top 7 program submissions in economic mobility progress to receive a site visit and are eligible for funding. And we do expect, this being the year that it is, we do expect that it is going to be very competitive. We expect to receive a lot of application submissions. Our process utilizes trained volunteers who are donors to the United Way of the Lowcountry to evaluate the outcomes obtained by the program, the fiscal accountability of the organization, and the use of nonprofit best practices as policy. And through this process, they are able to determine which programs are making the greatest impact by using an unbiased, weighted scoring metric that allows us to quantify a largely subjective process. And programs must track pre-established goals, outcomes, and key performance indicators that are found on that metrics document that you downloaded from our website. This allows us to gauge and report back to our donors the amount of impact our funding is achieving. These data points were developed by the community for the community after a series of open community conversations by our current partner agencies and other community stakeholders. All right, so if you will grab a copy of the GMOA that is also found on the website that I asked you guys to print off. So we must have a signed grantee memorandum of agreement from each organization receiving funding before any allocations can be released. And because of that, we provide you with a sample copy. We want you to take this back to your board. We want your board to review it. And if you have any questions about any of the information that you find in this document, we want you to ask them at that pre-qualification training work session, either on May 12th or May 24th. We want to make sure that any questions that you or your board have in reference to this GMOA are answered fully. All right, so if you will get out the timeline and have that in front of you, I am going to do the same thing here. So just like traffic lights, on our timeline, when applications are open and it's time to go, you're going to see green. And when deadlines are coming and it's time to stop, you're going to see red. So speaking of red, please do not wait until 4 p.m. on the deadline to hit that final review and submit button, because at 3:59, the system starts its closeout procedures. So at 4 p.m. sharp, it will no longer allow you to submit. So if you like procrastinating and taking it up until the very last minute, I'd suggest your very last minute be like 2 p.m. because you never know when your internet is going to decide to go out or if your scanner is going to die on you. And once the deadline is closed, we cannot open it back up. And I strongly suggest, especially if you are a new agency and do not have any experience with Community Force, that you try to build it into your timeline or pad your timeline by a day or two, just to make sure that if something goes wrong, that Amber has the time to get to you if something isn't right, so that she can make it right. Unfortunately, we have had organizations that have missed the deadline because they waited until the last minute and then called asking if there was any way possible that we could open the application process back up. And unfortunately, that deadline is set in stone, y'all. So please, please, please make sure you provide yourself plenty of time to get that, to hit that final review and submit in the electronic software, because the last thing we would want is for us to not be able to fund a really great program because you didn't allow yourself enough time to go through the software process. Okay, so here is the timeline for the basic needs and economic mobility priority areas. So on May 1st, the pre-qualification phase opens, and organizations will have until May 28th to complete the pre-qualification phase. All applicants must watch this training, and the link is on our website before you can complete the submission process. Agencies then have the opportunity to attend any or all of the scheduled work sessions to have specific questions answered. You must RSVP for the work sessions online, and work session attendance is not required. I just wanted to repeat that, especially for our returning agencies. But if you are a new agency to United Way, once again, it is strongly encouraged. And those training sessions are going to be on May 12th from 2 to 4. And on May 24th from 10 to 12. What I do ask is when you are going online to register or to RSVP for those work sessions, if you would please make sure that you put the name of your agency by your name when you're registering, so that we know who you belong to, and we could place the name with the organization. All right. And then you have until May 28th, once again, for that deadline. And I have had a couple folks call me up already and say, hey, you've always given us a full month for the pre-qualification portion. Why are you shorting us a couple of days? And there is a great reason for that. The reason for that is because May 31st falls on a holiday, and you guys would not have access to Amber. So if something is wrong, we would not be able to fix it or help you through it before the deadline happens. So we made the decision to have the deadline on May 28th at 4 p.m. so that if anything happens before the deadline, you would have access to us so that we could try to fix what is going on and not leave you guys hanging and have it happen over the holiday weekend. So that is the reason for that. And then you're going to notice that nothing else is happening until June 25th. That is for good reason as well. We have to have time to review all of the applications that we receive. And what we are doing is reviewing all of those for eligibility. And everybody will receive an email notification on June 25th, and you will be informed of eligibility to enter the formal application process on June 25th. And everybody that has entered the process will receive an email to let you know whether you are eligible or not. If you are deemed ineligible, you will be provided the reason for your ineligibility so that you can work on that and hopefully reapply the following year. Then on July 1st, the application phase opens, and that is where all the meat and potatoes are of your program. So all organizations deemed eligible will have access to the online application and be provided the link to access the full application training video in an eligibility email that you guys receive. And once again, all applicants must view the full application training. We're going to have the same kind of thing where there are going to be implemented into the training video, and you'll have to put those into the application so that we know that you watched the video. And the applicants will also be provided the opportunity to attend any or all of the scheduled work sessions. Those will also be online to RSVP by July 1st. Actually, I'll probably have that information online a little earlier. We will try to have that online by June 1st. That remains to be seen. Because there's more information requested, we have scheduled 3 work sessions so that you guys will have 3 different opportunities. So as you're working through the application and get to different portions of the application, there might be new questions that you have. So those are scheduled for July 9th, July 19th, and July 27th at the following times. And we also give you, because we are asking for more information, we also give you a little bit longer for this portion. We're actually giving you about a month and a week, and the deadline for the application portion is August 6th at 4 p.m. So after that, on September 29th, and there is a good bit of time in between of that. That gives us time to review all of the applications. But on September 29th, all programs are informed via email whether they advance to the next round, depending on their application's cumulative score that you receive. Those that are progressing will be provided their site visit schedule on September 29th. Underneath of that, you're going to see the basic needs program site visit dates and the economic mobility program site visit dates. So what I suggest is that if you are submitting a program in basic needs, to go ahead and put these dates on your agency calendar, because if you progress, then you know you are going to receive a site visit during one of these dates. And if you are submitting a program in economic mobility, go ahead and put these dates on your agency calendar, because you know that if you're progressing, then you are going to receive a site visit on one of those dates. We do require that during the site visit that your executive director, your board chair, and your finance person is present to answer any questions that the reviewers have in reference to your application or your program. And we ask that these 3 particular individuals are present because the funding decisions are made at the end of the site visit day. So all questions that the reviewers have need to be able to be answered right there. There's no getting back to them. There's no, well, let me find out and I'll get back to you, because they're making those funding decisions at the end of that day. So we want to make sure that you have the right representation there to answer any questions that might come up. And then after the site visits in January, we will present funding recommendations to the United Way Board of Directors for a vote. And then as soon as they have voted on the awards, then we notify you of the funding award amounts. And then shortly after we have notified you and your board chair of the amounts, we immediately send out those grantee memorandums of agreement and get those out to you so that you can get those signed and then back to us. And we let you know what those awards are in January so that you have several months to start building your program after you know how much funding you can expect from United Way. So here is our first number. If you will go ahead and write this down, the first number is 321. So if you will take that number down, that is the first code that you are going to be asked to put into the pre-qualification portion. So the first code is 321. All right, so we have must be able to upload all of those requested documents. And that pre-qualification checklist is the same checklist that you were able to print off as of April 1st. So you have had a full month in preparation to be able to review what we ask organizations to be able to answer yes to and what documents that we require you to be able to upload. So it is essential that the information you upload is what is requested. Your eligibility is established based on the documents that you provided. And the agency, you will not have the ability to resubmit any documents. So uploading incorrect documentation could render an ineligible determination and prevent you from being able to progress to the application phase. So it is really important that you make sure that you upload the proper documents. So the very first document that we discuss in the pre-qualification checklist is that federal tax ID document. And this is a copy of United Way's federal tax ID document. And it is going to be the actual letter from the Internal Revenue Service that gives you your employer identification number. And it is from the IRS. This is exactly what we need you to upload. The next item found on the pre-qualification checklist is the strategic priorities, or discusses strategic priorities. And it is required that the organization has a clearly stated human services mission, which addresses at least one of United Way's strategic priorities, which are basic needs, economic mobility, education, or health. And because we have a staggered funding schedule, this schedule is economic mobility and basic needs. Those are the mission or the priorities that your program needs to be addressing in this cycle. Target populations. It's important that the program being submitted largely serves at-risk or underserved populations or those negatively affected by racial disparities. Geographic area. The organization provides services to persons residing in Beaufort and or Jasper counties and has the ability to access and provide all data, including specific program budgets for our footprint, which is Beaufort and Jasper counties. Now, you might have a larger footprint. We have several organizations that serve a larger footprint than just Beaufort and Jasper counties. Or you might have a smaller footprint. You might just serve either Beaufort or might just serve Jasper County, and that's okay as well. But you have the geographic area that you serve has got to be Beaufort and or Jasper County, and you must be able to provide data on our service area. You must also have a location or office open in our service area. The next thing is the strategic plan. You will need to upload a copy of your strategic plan. It should be dated so that the reviewers know when it was last updated. And strategic plans usually have the date either on the cover page or on the last page that is signed and dated by the board chair. And agencies should have a new strategic plan, knowing how much change the pandemic has created, not only in service provision, but in the donation landscape, in volunteer engagement, and in marketing strategies. So this pandemic has really changed the entire landscape for nonprofits, and we're looking to see whether your strategic plan or whether the agency has really planned for those changes. Registration with the Secretary of State. So the organization must maintain current registration as a charitable organization with the Secretary of State's Office of South Carolina, or has a current registration exemption from the South Carolina Secretary of State's Office. And you will be required to upload your current registration letter or letter of exemption from the Secretary of State's office. If you have not received your updated letter, it's not a problem because we know that their due date is May 15th, which falls smack dab in the middle of our process. So if that's the case, please provide your most recent confirmation letter, which is going to be your last year's letter, along with documentation of the most recent information that's under review by the Secretary of State's office. And we'll go into a little bit more detail in a couple minutes. This is the form that you fill out every year right here. I put this up here just to kind of refresh your memory. This is what you guys fill out every year. And this is the letter that you need to upload. So if you don't have your updated letter, remember, then you might still be in the process because May 15th is the deadline if your fiscal year is based on a calendar year, which I know a lot of you are. And I know that they can also be backed up right around May 15th because we go through this every year. So it's not a problem. If you don't have this letter, then you need to scan last year's letter, which says you will expire May 15th of 2021. And a printout of your sent email with a timestamp confirming that you have submitted your updated paperwork by the May 15th deadline, or anything that just documents that you have sent in your new paperwork or that your paperwork is under review. Now, if you are one of those who did not upload their official registration letter because your fiscal year does not fall on a calendar year, then you are going to be required to upload the official registration letter in the application portion under the updated documents in order to be considered for any funding. So in the application portion, after you get through the pre-qualification, then the very first section in the application asks if there's any updated documents that you need to provide. And that's where you would provide it. So if you have not received your updated letter yet, but have sent in all your paperwork, or if your fiscal year is not based on a calendar year, then you would be providing your updated registration letter in your application under that first section that asks for updated documents. And if your fiscal year does not end in a calendar year, then you're golden because you're not even due. You're going to be due the same time that we're due. So if you look at our letter, we expire on 8/15 of 2021. So and that would be the same for you guys. If your fiscal year is not based on a calendar year, you're probably going to have the same expiration date. And if that's the case, then once again, you would either upload your letter with the application or as soon as you receive your new registration letter, you would just forward that along to the United Way. Right, so the organization's overhead costs are no more than 30% of a total organization's revenue as validated by the organization's most recent IRS Form 990. So there is no wiggle room on this, I'm afraid. That 30% overhead is a requirement, is a minimum requirement of United Way. And you could obtain this information on the Secretary of State's website if you've submitted your most recent up-to-date information. So if you have submitted your most recent up-to-date information and they have already posted it, then you can go right to the website and they calculate that information for you. If not, then you are going to, in the pre-qualification, we provide that computation that you look on the 990, and we provide exactly where you need to look on your 990 to obtain or to calculate your own overhead cost. Okay, so that brings us to the next point, which is the 990. You will be required to upload a copy of your most recent 990. Make sure that the document that you upload is a copy of the actual 990 that your organization submitted, including the signature and date at the bottom. We need to know that this is the actual 990 that you submitted to the IRS. Okay. Now, right here below, I took this right off of the IRS's website, and it says that your Form 990 must be filed by the 15th day of the 5th month after the end of your organization's accounting period. Thus, for a calendar year taxpayer, Form 990, 990EZ or 990PF is due May 15th of the following year. So the 990 that we are looking for to be uploaded is for the 2020 year. All right, so the 2 years financials. This is really for brand new agencies. So United Way will fund brand new programs, but we do require that organizations have a financial track record, so to speak, that we have financials to review to determine the fiscal accountability and the financial stewardship of the organization. So we do require that any organization that is applying for United Way funding has 2 years of financial audits or generally accepted financial report documents as outlined below, and that you can provide those upon request. The financial reports, reviews, and or audits provided must be the most recent and within the last 12 and 24 months. All organizations that are audited must be able to include a copy of the management letter. So the below is our threshold. So any organizations with a gross annual revenue of up to $300,000, the audit committee assigned by the governing board to issue a financial report in a format approved by the United Way of the Lowcountry and signed by at least 3 members of the agency's board. That is the financial that is required. Any organization with a gross annual revenue of $300,001 to $750,000, an independent certified public accountant to issue a review. And then any organization with a gross annual revenue of $750,001 and above is really a full audit, including the management letter. If you have any questions about that, the question sessions are the perfect time to ask those. Go ahead and register for that if you have any questions about the thresholds. All right, so insurance coverage. So I get this question a lot for purposes of the pre-qualification checklist. The organization has appropriate insurance coverage. And the question that I always get is, Christy, what is appropriate? Appropriate really depends on the services that you provide. If you have a fleet of agency vehicles and provide home delivered meals, then more than likely you're going to have car insurance for the organization. If you have home delivered meal program but rely all on volunteers who carry their own insurance, then car insurance might not be required or quote unquote appropriate. So one thing that we do always look for is whether the organization carries a policy on the board of directors, to cover your board. What we ask is that you scan them, because in every case that I have seen, your organization has multiple policies. Just scan them all as one document and upload them, because we only provide a spot for one document. So throughout this pre-qualification, if you have multiple documents, you need to scan them as one document and upload it as one document. And it never fails. Please don't have the insurance companies send them directly to us. That doesn't count. You need to be able to upload it to the software. Inevitably, we always get a couple of faxes a year from various insurance companies with policies. Make sure that you are specific and request that they email or fax them directly to you so that you can then scan them and upload them to the software. So there's no documentation that's asked to be uploaded for the Americans with Disabilities Act. We are simply asking the executive director and the board chair to go on record and verify that the organization's facilities meet the minimum health, fire, and safety codes and present no architectural barriers to potential clients. And we're just looking to seek to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. But there's nothing that the executive director needs to upload in this particular requirement. So technology, the organization has the technology and knowledge required to sign up for trainings via doodle polls, participate in trainings via Zoom, submit an online application form via Community Force, and have the ability to convert documents to PDF format, because all of the documents that you upload need to be PDFs, and have working email addresses for both the executive director and the board of directors, because that's how we will correspond with you guys. So this is the counterterrorism compliance form. I have actually put it on here. And this is nothing that you're going to need. You will actually have a link to this form that you will download, print out, fill it out, sign it, and then upload it back to the software. This is a form that we will provide to you. And this is something that we need for our paperwork. We give you this form, but this is just stating that you are not funding terrorist activities, because if you were funding terrorist activities, we know that you would be honest and tell us on this form, right? Once again, you are going to download this form, you're going to fill it out, scan it, upload it, and it's just something that we need for our files. So now we're moving on to the Board of Directors section of the pre-qualification checklist. And you will be required to upload a copy of the current board list. And that current board list will need to include the names, phone numbers, home addresses, emails, and the terms that they are serving. And please know that we keep all of this information confidential, and it will not leave our office. The organization's board maintains and adheres to written bylaws. The bylaws are reviewed at a minimum of every 5 years. It will be required to upload a copy of your official bylaws, which are signed and dated. Once again, the bylaws are also, just like the strategic plan, they're usually signed or dated rather, either on the cover page or on the back where the board chair signs off on them. And the uploaded copy must have the following information highlighted for easy review by volunteer panel members. Some of your bylaws can be upwards of 25 to 30 pages, and these reviewers have to review every single one of your bylaws. So to make it easy on them, which we always want to make it easy on the reviewers. So if you will make sure, and it doesn't have to be electronically highlighted, you can physically print out your bylaws and take a highlighter to it and then scan it and then upload it. But these 4 items need to be highlighted in your bylaws. So, and that needs to be the last review date, where it indicates the terms for the members, how many times the board is required to meet per year, and what constitutes a quorum required for a vote. And the organization's board should be meeting at least 4 times per year, operates with a quorum, whatever that quorum is, records minutes of all meetings, and has them available upon request. Okay, so now we're moving on to the program requirements of the pre-qualification checklist. And the program requirements are that the organization is able to provide a detailed program budget. And that is because United Way funds at the program level. Remember, during the overview, I had indicated that we fund at the program level, and that we're operational funding, and that we provide the executive director and the board of directors the flexibility. You guys are the subject matter experts. You know where you need that money the most, where it's best utilized. So because we provide that flexibility and provide operational funding support, we do require a detailed program budget. We do require that you are able to provide that detailed program budget. And we do provide the template for that program budget, so that all of the programs that are submitting for funding have the same exact format, so that the reviewers see the same program budget format regardless of the program that is in front of them. Each program has an operational plan with quantifiable objectives that specify the results to be achieved during a defined time period. Each program has a system in place to measure progress on achieving results. The program being submitted has outcomes measurement tracking based on the common goals, outcomes, and key performance indicators established by the community. That is the copy that I asked you to print out at the very beginning, and these can be found on our website, once again, at UWLowcountry.org, and these were created by the community. Each program has an appropriate client management system for tracking and assessing client-level improvements based on program interventions or services. And if your organization does not have this client management system for tracking, I would love to talk to you. If you are a basic needs organization, we provide funding for this community for a database called Charity Tracker, and I'd love to talk to you about it. If you are not currently a licensed user, I would love to talk to you about that. All right, so we now are at the Tracking Common Data, or KPIs. So go ahead and get that metrics document in front of you. Returning agencies YouTube, because it does look a little different. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about this, because this document, we do not ask you to upload this document in the pre-qualification portion of the application. So we're going to go into a whole lot more depth on this document in the application portion, but there are some things that I would like to just draw your attention to. In order to be eligible for United Way funding in the areas of basic needs and or economic mobility, you must be able to track program level data in the following ways, the ways on this sheet. You don't need to be able to track using all of the key performance indicators or KPIs on this sheet, but you must track all of the key performance indicators that are relevant to your service provision or program. This might mean that you need to add certain questions to your intake form, or creating new tools such as surveys that are used to ask your participants certain questions in order to be able to track the data on these sheets. We do not ask you to provide this information in this portion but you will be required to detail the process used for data collection, as well as provide the data collection tool utilized to ensure the metrics that you selected can be obtained in the application portion. So I wanted to just give you a heads up about that. If you look at this, if you're a returning agency, you're going to know that it looks a little bit different. We have color coded the instructions portion to try to make it a little bit easier to fill out. You would be selecting one goal underneath of economic mobility. I'm just going to use economic mobility as the example. So there are 3 different goals under economic mobility. You would only select one goal, and that would be the goal that you feel your program most resembles or most addresses. And then after you have selected your goal, you would select the outcome or outcomes that your program is addressing. On this one, you can select multiple outcomes. And then underneath, you're going to see the key performance indicators or the data points that you will be tracking. And what we did was we tried to separate the different data sets by the different shades of blue. So if you are tracking, for instance, the number of youth served who earn job relevant licenses, certifications, and or credentials, which is the lightest blue, you would be tracking all of those light blues. If you are doing number of adults served who receive job skills training, then you are going to be tracking all of those data points that are medium blue. And if you are looking at number of individuals served who gain employment, you are going to be tracking all of those darker blue data points. But like I said, this might mean adding certain questions to your intake form. This might mean creating new tools. This could mean changing some of the way that you're tracking the data. And I am hoping that for any of you that are looking for some feedback, please reach out. Amber and I are both willing to review what you guys are currently using and to provide feedback on how we could help in allowing you to obtain the data that you're trying to track. So please reach out to us if that is something that you're interested in. All right, so this is the second set of 3-digit code that you need to write down. So those numbers are 381. Once again, 381. So please copy those numbers down. And with that, I am going to put you all in Amber's hands, and she is going to tell you everything you need to know to access the online software that we use for grant submissions called Community Force. So with that, Amber, take it away.
Welcome to the software portion of this training. For those returning agencies, this will be a refresher, or you may also want to have some other staff members watch as well if others will be completing any part of the sections of the application, or just for a review so that they can see how also to do the application process. For those new agencies, we will be going over a lot of new information. If you have other staff members who will also be completing sections, feel free to have them watch as well. And we'd also would like to invite your board chairs to view the training video as well. Also, as a reminder, please write down any questions that you might have during this training so that we can go over that at the work sessions that Christy already discussed. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So you're going to go to the URL which Community Force provided, which is https://UWLowcountrygrants.communityforce.com. Once you get to this screen, you're going to click the login in the top right corner of the page. We recommend that you go ahead and add this to your favorites. That way you have quicker access to it when you need it. Once you click on login, you're going to come to the login page, and we're going to start off with new applicants. To begin a new application, click the Create New Account button. Your account will be created and then tied to your email address. Now, to create a new account, this is only going to be for new applicants. If you have an existing account, you're going to use your login information, which we will get to in just a few moments. This button is only to create a new account if you are new to the software and you do not have a previous account. So you're going to go ahead and click the Create New Account button, and it's going to bring you to the registration. You're going to type in all of your information, your organization name, your first name, last name. Here's where you're going to put your mobile number at. Your login ID is going to be an email format. So go ahead and put in your organization name, email, create a password. And then click on the image verification, which says, I am not a robot. Sometimes when you click this, pictures will come up and you just need to verify the images to continue. Then you're going to click submit. Once you click submit, you're going to get the status update that says that your account has been created and to go ahead and log in to access the app. If you no longer have access to the email linked to this agency's account, or if you are a new executive director, you will need to call me, Amber Hewitt, at 843-597-2425. Now, this is my personal cell phone that I am just providing strictly to you, so please, please, please don't give it out or give it to clients. If you have forgotten your password and cannot remember what it is for this site, you're going to go ahead and click Forgot Password. You'll enter your email address in, where you will receive an email link to reset your password. You'll click Submit. You will then go check your email message that was sent and come back to the login page to complete the process. And then we will go ahead and log in. For existing users, you'll just enter your email and password, which now we'll have. You'll click Login. If you are just beginning this year's process, you're going to go ahead and click on Start New Application. You would also click on this link if you've already created an application and you're planning to submit multiple requests for funding. If you have already created multiple requests for funding and want to begin working on them, then you're going to go ahead and click the Continue with Application. Once you click Continue with Application, another dialog box will appear listing all the applications that you currently have open, and you'll simply select the application you need from that list. If you choose to start a new application, you're going to go ahead and click Start a New Application. Since the software does allow you to submit multiple requests for funding, it's going to ask you to provide a description of the program. Please use this to provide the name of your program. This will really will be helpful if you intend to submit multiple requests. Use this even if you don't intend to submit multiple requests. That way you know that you are working on the correct application when you're filling this out. We're going to name ours for this training, the Ultimate Food Pantry, and then we're going to click Apply. Once you click on Apply, it'll bring you to your dashboard. The two icons that you see here are the pre-qualification checklist and the intent to submit are the components that need to be completed by the May 28th deadline. You will see those components right here, the pre-qualification and intent to submit. You'll notice that both of these must read 100% complete before you will be able to submit. Or if you choose to continue with an application that you've already began, you're going to continue with application. Choose which of the applications you are wanting to continue on and click on that. Again, it's going to show that you are 0% or whatever percentage you have completed will show there. This is where you're going to want to be very, very careful. Every time you continue with application or start a new application, you want to make sure that you are on the right page and in the right application, which is why it's important to put the description in. But each time you start a new application, if you come up here to My Applications, it's going to show each time that you have started a new application. You want to make sure not to start a new application every time because this gets clogged up and then we'll have to go through and delete them. So we're going to go ahead and continue with this application. This is going to bring you to this section and we're going to click on the pre-qualification checklist. The nice thing about this software is that it auto saves for you. If you notice here in the right corner, you'll see in blue, it's going to auto save in 9 minutes and 46 seconds, which is great because when you're in the process of doing your application, sometimes things happen. You know, you get called away, you get a phone call, you have a child crying, you have to step away. And if you don't remember to press save, you've lost all of your information if it logs you out. With this feature, it's going to auto save it. So if you forget to save it, you're still okay because the system knows to do that. So we're going to go ahead and type in the organization information. Type in the phone number, your website, your mailing address, street address if it's different than the mailing address. The executive director name, their email, their direct line, as well as their cell phone number. Then it's going to bring you down here to your board information. Your board of directors chairperson information goes here. We ask this because we do require that the chairperson review your application before submitting it to check for any errors. This is very, very important that they do check over your application so that they know as a second set of eyes that is reviewing this to make sure that you have the correct information listed. You do not want to submit your application and come to find out at the last second after you've already submitted it that you have the wrong form uploaded or the wrong information in there. You want to make sure that it's correct. Enter the board term. Enter their address. And then you're going to come down to the questions of the application. The pre-qualification checklist, you need to be able to answer yes to each one of these questions. In order to apply for funding, you have to answer yes. If you do not meet any of the requirements below, you should discontinue filling out the application because you will not be considered for funding. You're going to go ahead and upload your information as well at this point. The first document that you're going to upload is your federal tax ID. To do that, you're going to go into Browse, go into the file where it is kept, then click on that document, and it's going to automatically upload it. And again, you're going to go through the questions, answer yes to each question. You'll enter your strategic plan, your current registration letter or letter of exemption from the South Carolina State Secretary of State, your 990, and insurance coverage, you'll enter here, upload there rather. The USA Patriot Act will go here. Your board of director requirements will be here, your board list, your bylaws. And as Christy went over in her portion of the training, the uploaded copy of the bylaws must have the following information highlighted so that it's easier for our panel members to review. The last review date, which should be a minimum of 5 years, where it indicates the terms for the members, how many times the board is required to meet, and what constitutes a quorum that is required for voting. And then you'll go ahead and upload that there. Next section is your program requirements. And all of the training codes that Christy has given you throughout this process will go here. Now, this form will not allow you to submit if you do not have those codes correctly. Review as the executive director, you're going to go ahead and sign off here and date. And then your chair is going to also sign off and date. And then you're going to save and return to dashboard. Again, once you scroll down, you'll see that we're 97% complete. And I did this on purpose because I wanted to be able to come back and show you when you think that you have completed the process, the entire pre-qualification checklist, and you get to that point and you realize you're missing something, it's going to be fairly easy to find it. Everything that is required, you're going to see has a red star right there if it's required. So you just need to go through and check through all of those to make sure that everything is completed. And I can tell you, I'm going to scroll down. Sorry if that makes you a little dizzy. I will scroll down here to the bottom. I did not enter in the board chair name. I also did this so that I can just bring up once again how important it is. Your board chair reviews this information before submitting it. Once they have reviewed it and reviewed all of the attachments, go ahead and have them sign here and date. And then we're going to save and return to dashboard again. The suggestion that we have for you is to complete all of the questions and upload all of the documents before answering the statement and providing the electronic signatures that are found in the pre-qualification icon. The pre-qualification progress bar will not read 100% until the electronic signatures are provided. Because there could be many different staff that are assisting with the application, and by providing the wrong documentation, That could prevent you from being eligible. After all the questions are answered and the attachments are included, the executive director and the board chair are required to review all of the material to ensure accuracy and quality. Once the statements and electronic signatures have been provided and both the bars read 100%, then you can click on the final review and submit button. It's located in the upper right corner here. But before we get to that, I want to go over the intent to submit for basic needs. We click into here, and this is going to be your KPIs or your key performance indicators for basic needs. Go ahead and click which goal within the priority of basic needs that your program will be addressing. The first goal we have is housing. All residents of Beaufort and Jasper counties will have access to safe, affordable housing options for all demographics. The second goal is for food. All residents of Beaufort and Jasper counties will have consistent access to nutritious, healthy, affordable food. For this program, because it is the ultimate food pantry, we are going to choose goal 2. The program name is the Ultimate Food Pantry. And then we're going to save and return to dashboard. And again, after you have ensured that you and your board have both went through the application, checked all of the information to make sure that everything is correct, then is where you are going to click the final review and submit. You will get the application system alert that says to confirm that you have reviewed your United Way of the Lowcountry 2022 Community Impact Process. Once you have continued with the review, you will not be able to update this after it's been submitted. So you want to make sure to continue with the review here. Once looking through the application to ensure that you have everything correct and that all of your documents are uploaded correctly, another recommendation is to go ahead and click on these to make sure that these are the correct documents that are supposed to be in the areas where they are uploaded to. With these documents, sometimes they get mixed up and the wrong document gets uploaded, and we really do not want that. So you're going to click the please check the box to confirm that you have reviewed. You will not be able to update this after it's submitted. This is where it's very, very important. You need to make sure that you are checking everything, double check it, triple check it if you want to, but just make sure that everything is correct and all of the information is uploaded. Once you have verified that all the information is correct and all of the attachments are correct, you're going to hit submit. You will then get the system message. Thank you for submitting the pre-qualification section of our application. A determination as to your eligibility will be provided by June 25th, 2021. A hard copy of the application is posted on our website if you would like to start preparing in anticipation of the next phase. So if you would like to go ahead and print that out and start the application, you are welcome to do that. All notifications will be sent to the executive director's email address, which was submitted in the beginning of the pre-qualification phase. Click OK, and it's going to bring you back out to this page. And next, you are going to want to print this off for yourself so that you have a copy of this. This way, in the future, if you have questions or if you need to go back to this, you're going to want to go ahead and have a hard copy of this to keep for yourself for your review. Once the final review and submit button has been clicked, you will not be able to update any longer. From here, we're going to return to the dashboard. You can preview your application and print here. Click the print and go ahead and print that out. That way you have a copy of it for yourself. If you need it in the future for any review, you always have a copy of it. A few additional features are to add a collaborator, preview a copy of your application, or import responses from existing applications. In order to do any of these three features, you're going to click Use Action. We're going to start with Add a Collaborator. You'll click the Add a Collaborator, enter that person's last name, first name, and their email address. The organization name, whether it be your own or somebody else. And you'll search. There are no records found. So we're going to add the user. You'll enter their organization name, their first name, last name, their email address. And if you want them to be included in all of the communication from United Way about the grant, go ahead and click Add Communication. And then you're going to click Add. Once you click Add, this user already exists in the system. Would you like to invite the same user? Click OK, and they will send an invitation to that user. If they are not in the system, you will get that same notification showing to add them. Let's try. Collaborator was added successfully. And then you're going to click OK. And then it's going to show you the list of your collaborators and their email. If you want to remove them, simply click the little trash can and delete them. Click OK, and they've been deleted. Once you have successfully added the collaborator, you're not quite done. You're going to go down to the Assign section, click on that, and then you can check which section you would like that collaborator to have access to. Click Save, and the invitation is being sent to their email address. Next, if you want to preview your application, you're going to choose Action, Preview Application, and a clean copy of your application and answers will be viewable. And if you want to print them, print the application, click Print, which again, we do recommend that you do print your application for future use in case you need it for anything later on. Thirdly, if you want to import responses, if you've already filled out a pre-qualification checklist on another program and you want to submit a second program, you don't have to do all that hard work again. The good thing is that you can click on the Choose Action button and you can import responses from an existing application. Now be very, very careful with this because you're going to need to go through and change your answers once you have imported the information. You'll click Import. The existing information will be overwritten by United Way, the Lowcountry 2022 Community Impact Process information. Do you want to continue the import? You're going to say yes. You will receive this message after the import. Review all of your sections of your application, update the responses you have imported with the information specific to this application. Again, it's going to import everything, all of the information that was in your last application. It's going to import that information. You're going to want to make sure to change things such as the program name. Some of the information included in there will have to be changed. Your uploads should stay pretty much the same, but just go ahead and verify those just to make sure. After the import, we're going to click OK. Okay, so that concludes the software portion of the training. Again, if you have any questions regarding the software, or if something is not uploading properly, or if you're confused where to put something, go ahead and jot my phone number down. My personal cell phone is 843-597-2425. As we are working remotely, that's probably the best way to reach me. You can either give me a call or shoot me a text message if you need something. And I look forward to seeing all of your wonderful applications and hearing about all of your amazing programs.
All right. Thank you so much, Amber, for that thorough walkthrough with Community Force. I cannot tell you how happy I am that you are tech savvy and I can back away from the software side of the application process. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So we are now coming to the third and final set of numbers or codes for you to enter into the pre-qualification. So the last set, the numbers are 749. So if you will copy those down. 749. All right. So I have alluded to throughout this training to the pre-qualification training work sessions that are scheduled. There are 2. And after you have watched this pre-recorded training, there are these 2 work sessions available where you can ask any follow-up questions that you might have in reference to any of the documents required for upload, or for questions that you might have about navigating the online software. The only thing that we ask is that the individuals that attend the training have viewed this online or this training video right here, and that you guys have started the online application process. So those are the 2 things that we ask. We also ask that, once again, that you remember to put your organization name next to your name so that we know who you belong to, so that when you're asking questions, we know which organizations, number one, are represented at the training, but it might give us a little bit of context as to what that, put that question into context for us. And you can RSVP for those right on our website. There is the doodle poll in green on the board. And we are available to you. And we know that this format is a bit different, but we hope that it will give you the flexibility that you guys need. Please feel free to reach out to us if there are any questions that might be a little too sensitive to ask during an open forum. Please feel free to reach out and give us a call or email us. All of our information is on the cover page of this presentation. So feel free to reach out if there are sensitive questions that can't be asked in an open forum. If they are not sensitive, we do ask that you reserve them for these training work sessions, because if you have that question, there could be other organizations that also have that question. And we would like to answer that question one time and get that information out so that other organizations might also benefit from those answers. So with that, I am going to say goodbye. I can't wait to see everybody. I can't wait until we can be face to face. But until then, I wish you happy grant writing. And once again, give us a call or email us if there's anything that we can help out with that is too sensitive for the open training work sessions. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.